Hi, boys and girls. I thought rather than just recording my voice for each page, I would read you the story with a video of me in the corner. Okay, so here we go. So these are chapters 20, 21, 22, and I might have included 23 in there just because it was very short. Okay, so a mysterious reflection. I put out the candle and slipped under the covers. I closed my eyes. But one horrible thought kept popping up. Tonight was Halloween, the scariest night of the year. Did I mention I don't like to be scared? Get a grip, Geronimo, I told myself sharply. It's time to stop being such a scaredy mouse. Yes, I, Geronimo Stilton, would turn over a new leaf. From now on, I would be brave, to give myself courage. I began to chant, I am not a scaredy mouse. I am not a scaredy mouse. I repeated the words over and over, like a CD stuck on repeat. After a while, my paws stopped shaking. I peeked out from under the covers. I was starting to feel better. I guess you could even say I felt stronger, tougher. No ghost was going to send this mouse scampering. In fact, I would just laugh in his ghostly old face. Then I heard a creak. A meowing voice called out into the dark room. That's right. It said, "You're not a scaredy mouse. You're a terrified mouse." Hee 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 hee. My fur stood on end with fright. Who was there? I squeaked. Oh, how I wish I was home. A light came on in the darkest corner of the room, by a small bookcase. There I saw a female figure wearing a cone-shaped hat, a long black dress, and pointed shoes. She held a broom in her paw. Could it be the witch's broom? Her wide-brimmed hat covered her snout, but I could tell she was a cat. The paw holding the broom had long, sharp claws. Brrr! Poisonous, cheesy puffs. It was a witch, and not just any old witch, the worst kind of witch there is, a cat witch. I stared at her frightened reflection in the mirror. The witch began to chuckle, then he sang a horrifying song. Evil eye and rodent's pie in my cauldron, prepare to die, she cackled. She waved her broom in the air. Well, 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 what a nice juicy mouse. You'd be just right for a couple of rat burgers. I could use that fur to make myself a cute hat, and those soft little ears would make a perfect powder puff. Hee 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 hee. I hid under the covers. So much for being brave. I admit it. I am a scaredy mouse. Perfectly terrified, teeth chattering, nail biting, scaredy mouse. Help! I shrieked once again. I was beginning to sound like a broken record. 30 seconds later, Thea threw open the door. What's up? Did you see a ghost? She cried. I shook my head. No, I squeaked. I saw a witch. My sister blinked. Then she flipped her tail over her shoulder. Well, it doesn't really matter, I suppose. A witch would make a good scoop, too, she decided. So where is she? Trembling all over, I pointed at the bookshelf. Armed with her camera, my sister marched forward. I watched as she stared at the bookshelf. Where are you, witch? She demanded. Come on. I just want to take a picture. I peeked out from under the covers. I was shaking like a mouse who's been locked out of his or her mouse hole on a cold winter's night. Then looked everywhere. But the witch was gone. I love you, Uncle Geronimo. My sister stamped over to my bed. She ripped the covers off of me. Geronimo, she barked. How much cheese did you eat tonight? I chewed my whiskers. Very little, I'm telling you, I insisted. Just then Trap peeked into the room. Very little, my paw, he chuckled. He's probably ate so much his stomach begged him to stop. You know, Jerry Berry, you can have terrible nightmares when you eat too much before bed. He poked me in the tummy. You probably dreamed up all sorts of scaredy thingies, like ghosts and mummies and witches." I shook my head. Why wouldn't anyone even listen to me? For the last time, I'm telling you, I only ate a tiny piece of Swiss cheese, I squeaked. Of course that Gotttrap started on the dangers of going to bed on an empty stomach. That's even worse than eating too much, he shouted. Meanwhile, Benjamin was checking out the mirror, the walls, and the chest of drawers standing in the dark corner of the room. He scratched his fur on top of his head. "Tell me, Uncle," he whispered in my ear. "Are you positive you saw the witch reflecting in that mirror?" I nodded. "You do believe me, don't you?" I asked my favorite nephew. Benjamin kissed me on the tip of my snout. "Of course I believe you, Uncle. I always do." I hugged him tight. Then he pulled out his pad. Without another word, he jotted down some notes. Small but nasty. Finally, they all left. I sat on the bed thinking, what was going on? Was I just having nightmares, like Trap insisted? Or did I actually see a ghost? A mummy? And now a witch? I was starting to feel like I was losing my mind. To cheer myself up, I started chanting again. Everything's under control. Everything's under control. But this time I didn't feel any better. Oh, how I wished I was home. Suddenly a great owl flew into the room through the open window. It perched on the edge of the fireplace. The owl opened its beak. "Hey, you cheddar-faced," it croaked. My jaw dropped. Then the owl began to sing. "I may be small, but don't cross me. One wrong move, and you're history." It left in a whirl of feathers. As the owl flew away, I heard a mechanical sound. Tick, tack, tick, tack. How very strange, I thought. I wanted to tell someone. Whoever heard of a talking owl? And not just any talking owl. This was one nasty talking owl. I opened my mouth to yell for help. Then I snapped it shut. Why bother? No one would even believe me anyway. They'd call me a cheese brain. They'd call me a mad mouse. They'd call me for advice and do the exact opposite of whatever I said. No one would believe me. Well, no one except Benjamin. I scrambled out of bed. Then I raced out of the room in search of my dear, sweet nephew. The mystery of the chicken feather. I found Benjamin and told him what had happened. He listened patiently. Then he gave me a hug. "I believe you, Uncle," he said. Did I mention Benjamin is my favorite nephew? We went back to Duchess Curly Paw Canny Cat's room. Benjamin began to check out the room like a regular mouse detective. He found a feather on the floor by the fireplace. He stared at it through a magnifying glass. "Very interesting," he murmured. "This looks like it was a white chicken feather, but someone has painted it gray." I told Benjamin about the strange mechanical noise I had heard when the owl flew off. Tick, tack, tick, tack, tick, tack. He pointed out the cobwebs over the fireplace. So many cobwebs, yet not one single spider, he observed. We both agreed. It was very odd. With that, Benjamin pulled out his pad. Then he began scribbling more notes. At this rate, he was going to need another pad. That's it, boys and girls, for this week.